successful leader, you will need to create a personal focus, one in which you continually conduct self-reflection on how you are perceived by others and how you perceive yourself. A daily reflection of how you lead during the day and matching that performance against positive leadership traits that you define will enable you to remain focused and honest with yourself. Failing to do this may have you blurred in your own expectations and losing sight of how you desire to perform, or even more so, how those perceive you that you will lead. Take the time to lay out a personal growth plan for yourself and discuss it with your mentors. Notice the S on mentor. There are many reasons why you may desire more than one, but having multiple perspectives and feedback will enable you greater growth. Also, make sure your leaders know that you have mentors. Those you lead know that you have mentors so that they understand the value of having mentors as well. As part of your professional growth plan, include education, training, reading, and mentorship. Show those you lead that you are doing this to ensure your own personal growth so that they too will do the same. Never forget, you can learn a great deal from those you lead. Your educational growth may focus at a college education, but your training will likely focus on developing technical skills. In many cases, sailors arrive from A&C schools may have more knowledge than you on how to perform a particular task. Make sure that those young sailors know that you're capable of learning from them. You are giving them a tremendous example in which they will also learn from as well. Never forget, it's what they see in you. You are a leader. Similar to the point that you are what you eat, you are also the type of person in what you read. Therefore, if you are a leader, you should be reading about leadership to grow your awareness of best practices that may be able to apply in your own development. Encourage your sailors to read about leadership and/or heritage books, and do it at the same time as you, maybe as an idea to have open discussions with your sailors. As you read and learn together and have discussions, you are exercising an important leadership trait. You're learning about your sailors and how they perceive certain things. What a great open discussion to have with your sailors talking about leadership. It's not all about just doing, it's about teaching. By now you may realize that much of what is discussed is also about showing your sailors how you develop yourself. This is intentional. An important point to be made is that your sailors are watching you 24/7, 365 days a year. It is what they see in you that they will replicate. If you become a type of leader that has expectations for the people you lead and not for yourself, you may want to turn around and take a look behind you to see if anybody's following. Visuals are important in everything that you do as a Chief Petty Officer. How you lead on duty and how you live your life away from duty will also determine how your subordinates, your peers, and your superiors see you and value your input. You must exhibit positive traits in all groups to include your family so that others grow respect for you so that you're able to grow your influence. You often get in return what you give. If you present a negative leadership approach, negative is probably what you will get in return. A great book to read to reinforce this point is by Ken Blanchard titled Well Done. I encourage you to read this book and use the examples in this book that are given in the story. Try them at home and see the difference that you can have just by showing your appreciation for your loved ones. And then come back to work on duty, on your ship, at your squadron or wherever you may serve in your platoon or on your boat, wherever you're serving in our great Navy. Use those traits back here, the positive traits that are discussed in that book, and then see if you don't get positive in return, just like what you're giving. How do you react when a sailor expresses a need for assistance? Are you too busy to address their needs? Do you push them away to talk to someone else? Or are you compassionate and listen to their concerns? And then do you assist them with making a good decision? Keep in mind, you cannot force a decision on somebody, but you can educate them with information and resources that will help them feel confident about making a positive decision. As you address their concerns immediately, you are building trust that they will value for years to come. If you push them away to someone else, you are also creating a separation and a visual that you are not their leader. and this too will last for years to come. Never forget, you need them to perform. Also, never forget, they need you to be their leader. And it may come at times that is often not convenient for you. Which visual do you desire they depart you with? Yes, leadership is a great deal about resisting what is easy and questioning yourself on how you are perceived and how you are performing. Remember, leadership is not easy, and therefore it will require great effort, and often at times when you feel like you cannot share the time. Empowerment with an exclamation point. And you'll see in your copy of this that the exclamation point was meant to be there. Why? Because empowerment is a powerful word, and even more powerful when implemented and exercised. Recall previously a statement that you cannot know it all. Well, you cannot do it all either, and therefore you need to develop trust with those around you. And as you work to develop them, you must challenge them to achieve more than they ever thought they were capable of doing. If you are a leader with the power of positive, you will have the ability to inspire your sailors to do well. Once you are capable of inspiring them, then due to the professional trust relationship that you have developed with them, you can challenge them to grow. There's an ICE, ICE. Sometimes you have to chill out. So the inspire. And C is the challenge. Remember what it was like for somebody to challenge you and made you realize you could do more than you ever thought you could. That's your role now. Once you challenge them, you have to empower them. Empower them to achieve the task that you are giving to them. To empower them, you must have supported them by providing them education and resources to accomplish the task. Great chief petty officers will reward their sailors for a job well done. Often it may be just a comment of a job well done. Other times it may require you to write an award. Make the time to ensure they get recognition. Watch what occurs when you acknowledge a job well done. They will desire more and have an appetite to satisfy their chief, as positive reinforcement works better than zero reinforcement or negative reinforcement. Based on what I've shared with you, you may be able to see again that leadership can be difficult. As you do your self-reflection at the end of every day, how do you see yourself and how do others see you? Are you projecting pride through a positive image as you sport your anchors, or do you look miserable walking around with a burden of leadership on your shoulders? If you view your position of leadership as a burden, it's time to hang up the uniform and consider life after the Navy. Leadership is an honor, and it is a privilege that is given to very few. You are a Chief Petty Officer in the United States Navy. And if you cannot feel the pride in this, and others cannot see it in you, then you are doing a disservice to our sailors. Your Navy needs their future chiefs to understand the importance of positive leadership for the future success of our Navy and our nation. You are having a lasting impact that will live many years beyond your service. Think about the impact that you may have on a junior officer that you are assisting to develop. That junior officer may one day become a commanding officer. How well do you want that commanding officer to respect the future Chief Petty Officer's mess that they may be charged with? There are many Chief Petty Officers who served years prior to our service as a chief that have enabled a great bond with the Chief's mess and the wardroom, as well as you as a junior sailor. So now, with all that being said, it is your time to lead, Chief. Walk a little prouder, Chief, as you are one of the very few in our nation that can say that they are a Chief Petty Officer in the United States Navy. Never forget the power of your positive leadership, and put a little pop in your step to show your sailors that they too will want to be a Chief Petty Officer. Inspire, challenge, and empower. Again, I congratulate you and your families for achieving this level of success. It's only just begun. I wish you well as you grow to the next level of responsibility and accountability for growing the future of our Navy. Okay, so we're going to do one last chant here. So if I say something, you'll know what to say, and I expect you to say it loud and proud so I hear you on the other side of the Coast Guard base here. So, Navy Chief!
Navy proud!
Navy Chief!
Navy proud!
Booyah!
Booyah!
Very good. Congratulations to you all. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for having me. Have a great Navy Day. Take time to smell the salt in the air, and always have a great Navy Day, shipmates. Thank you.
Thank you, Fleet Benning. In a few moments, we will arrive at the moment we've all been waiting for, the pinning of the anchors of a Chief Petty Officer on the sailors for the first time. But before we do, it is important to understand the meaning behind them. Chief Dan Dunham will read the presentation of the anchors. Chief selects. Attention.
The anchor you are about to receive is the emblem of the rank of the Chief Petty Officer of the United States Navy. Attached to the anchor is a length of chain and the letters USN. To the novice, the anchor, chain, and letters identify the Chief Petty Officer of the United States Navy. But to a chief, they have a much more noble and glorious meaning. The U stands for unity, which reminds us of cooperation, maintaining harmony, and continuity of purpose of action. The S stands for service, which reminds us of the importance of our service to our God, our fellow man, and our Navy. The N stands for navigation, which reminds us to keep ourselves on a true course that we may walk upright before God and with all mankind, but most importantly, with our fellow chiefs. The chain is symbolic of flexibility and reminds us that the chain of life that we forge day by day, link by link, may be forged with honor, morality, and virtue. The anchor is emblematic of the hope and glory and the means to keep us fast in our faith, to encourage us to abide in the proper station amidst the storm of temptation, affliction, and persecution.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin pinning our newest Chief Petty Officers, I ask our audience, with the exception of the photo opportunities and Chief Petty Officers who will render the honors, to remain seated during the pinning portion of the ceremony, and please hold applause until the last Chief is pinned. Let us now complete the uniform of these new Chief Petty Officers by pinning their anchors and fitting them with the cover of a United States Navy Chief Petty Officer. Sponsors, prepare for the pinning of